When we talk about creating the ultimate facial care routine for acne and blackheads, the very first thing we need to get right is the foundation, and that foundation is cleansing. Not the rushed 2-second splash of water most people do at the end of the day, not the overly harsh scrubbing that leaves your skin red and tight, but a calm, steady, respectful approach to your skin that starts to shift the way it behaves. Cleansing isn't just about removing dirt, it's about setting the tone for how your pores function throughout the entire day. If you get this part wrong, everything else you apply, your serums, your treatments, your moisturizers, has to work twice as hard. But when you get it right, your products glide in, absorb better, and perform better, because the skin is already primed to cooperate rather than fight back. Most people assume acne-prone or oily skin requires a tough cleanser, something that foams aggressively, strips aggressively, and leaves the skin squeaky. But skin isn't meant to feel squeaky. That sensation isn't cleanliness, it's damage. Every time you strip the skin barrier, you trigger more oil production, more inflammation, and yes, more blackheads. Your skin goes into panic mode trying to repair the harsh treatment you've just put it through. That's why the first shift in thinking is moving away from force and toward balance. A gentle, low pH cleanser, the kind that respects the natural acidity of your skin, removes the buildup you need gone without disrupting the living, breathing system that keeps your face healthy. And consistency matters. Cleansing once in a while isn't going to create change. A morning cleanse prepares your skin by removing overnight buildup, excess oil, and any residue from your evening products. It gives you a fresh canvas, so whatever you apply next actually gets to do its job. The evening cleanse is even more important because that's when the real debris of the day has settled onto your face: sweat, pollution, sunscreen, makeup, and layers of oxidized sebum sitting on the surface. Leaving that on your skin overnight is like inviting breakouts to a party you don't want them attending. This is where a double cleanse becomes your best friend, not a trend, but a method. An oil-based cleanser first to melt down sunscreen and makeup without tugging or scraping, followed by your gentle water-based cleanser to sweep away the rest. It's efficient, it's thorough, and it keeps the skin calm instead of irritated. Now, the front of the face, the forehead, nose, and the center of the T-zone is where most people struggle the most. This area collects oil faster, traps sweat more easily, and tends to produce buildup that becomes visible quickly. When this area is cleansed properly and consistently, you start to notice those small improvements: fewer tiny bumps, less shine that builds up through the day, and less temptation to pick at the skin. Picking, by the way, often starts because people think the skin looks dirty or clogged, when really what's happening is incomplete cleansing followed by inflammation. When the skin feels calmer, you feel less compelled to press or squeeze, and that alone saves your skin from a world of future problems. The right cleanser also teaches your pores how to behave. When your skin barrier stays intact, your pores don't have to stay dilated. When the barrier isn't constantly being stripped, your oil glands don't feel the need to overproduce. When the surface of the skin remains smooth and hydrated instead of rough and dehydrated, dead skin doesn't cling and trap oil underneath it. Cleansing is not a single action, it's the beginning of a chain reaction that affects everything your skin does afterward. But even with all the science behind it, the emotional side matters too. Cleansing is the moment in your routine where you slow down. You touch your skin with intention, you pay attention to where it needs help and where it's improving. When you build that daily connection with your face, you start choosing products more thoughtfully and responding to your skin's signals earlier. You stop punishing your skin for breaking out and start supporting it as it heals. That shift alone changes the entire journey. And once this foundation becomes a habit, not a chore, not something you rush through, but a steady, dependable part of your day, everything else you do in your routine becomes easier, more effective, and more predictable. Acne and blackheads don't stand a chance when the basics are solid. A clear, healthy complexion always begins with the simplest step done the right way. Once your cleansing foundation is in place, the next step is understanding how targeted ingredients work inside the pore, because this is where real transformation happens for anyone dealing with acne or blackheads. Most people think skincare works on the surface, but the truth is that the real action, the clogging, the inflammation, the buildup starts deeper. When you use the right ingredients in the right way, you're not just treating what you can see, you are treating what's forming beneath the surface long before it becomes a visible problem. That's That's the power of targeted treatments, and it's one of the biggest shifts people experience when they move from guessing to actually understanding their skin. One of the most important ingredients for this is salicylic acid. It's oil soluble, which means it can slip through oil and enter the pore directly. Once inside, it dissolves the debris that forms blackheads, the compacted mix of dead skin cells and sebum that gets stuck. When you think about those tiny dots on the nose or the chronic congestion along the chin, this is the ingredient that reaches inside and actually breaks down the material, causing the clog. But it doesn't work instantly. It works gently and progressively, which is exactly what you want. If your skin has been irritated before, that slow and steady action is your friend. A little every day or every other day is far more effective and much safer than trying to shock the skin with high concentrations or daily scrubbing. Niacinamide is another ingredient that makes a huge difference, especially if your skin tends to get oily or inflamed. People love it for brightening, but it does so much more than that. It helps regulate oil production in a way that doesn't make your skin feel dry or tight. When your oil levels stay balanced, pores don't stretch out as much and clogs don't form as quickly. It's like helping your skin find its equilibrium so you're not constantly fighting your own biology. It also strengthens the barrier, which means less redness, less irritation, and better tolerance for other active ingredients you might be using in your routine. Then there's the role of gentle exfoliants. Not the rough scrubs that leave micro tears and sensitivity behind, but controlled chemical exfoliants that loosen dead skin cells without scraping the surface. When used correctly, these exfoliants help keep the top layer of your skin smooth, which prevents dead cells from clumping together and trapping oil inside the pore. You're not peeling your skin off, you're helping it shed in the way it naturally wants to. When your skin renews evenly, breakouts have fewer opportunities to form. This single step often reduces that rough, uneven texture people feel along their forehead or jawline. But the real magic happens when these ingredients work together. Salicylic acid clears inside the pore, niacinamide calms the skin and balances oil, and a gentle exfoliant keeps the surface fresh so clogs don't return. It's a coordinated effort. And when your skin receives these signals consistently, it starts behaving differently. The pores stay clearer, the inflammation is lower, and blackheads don't have the same opportunity to form and harden. This is why targeted treatment is not a quick fix. It's a strategy. You're training the skin to function better over time. And because these ingredients work beneath the surface, patience matters. Skin improvements build gradually, often starting with subtle changes. Less shine in the afternoon, fewer new bumps forming, a smoother feeling when you touch your cheeks or nose. These are the signs that the ingredients are doing their job. That's the moment when consistency becomes your biggest advantage. The more regularly you give your skin what it needs, the more predictable and steady your results will be. It's also important to use these ingredients in a way that respects your skin's tolerance. Too much too fast leads to irritation, and irritated skin doesn't heal, it fights. Your goal isn't to overwhelm your skin, your goal is to support it. A controlled routine always beats an aggressive routine, especially for acne-prone skin. When you introduce a new ingredient gradually, your skin has time to adapt, accept it, and respond without backlash. That's how you maintain progress without setbacks. And something a lot of people don't realize is that targeted ingredients don't just treat acne, they prevent it. They intercept the formation of new clogs, help regulate oil flow, and keep the skin environment balanced so blackheads don't stand a chance to deepen or oxidize. That's why this step is essential. It's the bridge between cleansing and everything else you'll do to keep your skin clear. When you give your skin the right tools, it knows exactly what to do. When we move into the topic of extractions, this is where people's habits usually start working against them. Almost everyone with blackheads or acne has tried squeezing at some point, and most have done it in the worst possible conditions. Poor lighting, no prep, no softening of the skin, no sanitation, and absolutely no patience. It's not that extraction itself is bad, it's that extraction done without knowledge becomes a fast track to redness, scarring, and long-term sensitivity. The goal isn't to stop people from wanting those clogs out. The goal is to teach the skin-respectful way to approach it so the pore actually heals instead of becoming a recurring problem. The biggest misunderstanding is thinking that force is what makes an extraction successful. People press harder when nothing comes out, assuming more pressure equals a better result, but pores aren't designed to withstand trauma. When you push too aggressively, you rupture things beneath the surface, tiny blood vessels, tissue walls, and sometimes even the deeper layers of the pore itself. That damage can trap debris even further inside, making the next breakout bigger, deeper, and more painful. Gentle pressure only works when the pore has been properly prepared. Anything else is just pushing inflammation deeper. That's why professional extraction always begins with softening. When the skin is warm, hydrated, and relaxed, the material inside the pore becomes much easier to remove without force. Steam or a warm compress is one of the simplest ways to prepare the skin. You're not trying to boil your face, you're just helping the pore open slightly and loosening the hardened plug so it's not stuck like glue. Once the skin is softened, you can actually see a difference. The blackhead lifts closer to the surface instead of being buried under tension. And when you do apply pressure, it's controlled, steady, and placed around the pore, not directly on top of it. That small shift alone keeps you from pushing debris deeper and causing inflammation that can take days to calm down. Another important part of safe extraction is understanding when not to extract. Some bumps look like blackheads but are actually closed comedones or inflamed pimples that are nowhere near ready to be touched. Trying to force them open only leads to trauma. When a pore is not ready, it resists. You feel that tightness, that firmness, that refusal to budge. That is your skin saying, not today. Listening to that signal saves you from unnecessary redness and prevents marks that take weeks or months to fade. Extraction should always be responsive, not impulsive. And then there's the emotional side, because picking is not just a physical habit. It's an urge tied to frustration, anxiety, and the desire for immediate control. People often say they feel relieved after squeezing something out, even if it leaves a mark. But when your skin is on a consistent routine, your cleansing is solid, your targeted ingredients are working, and your pores stay clearer, those urges naturally decrease. You don't feel the need to attack your skin because you're not constantly staring at new problems forming on the surface. A clear, cooperative complexion removes the temptation before it even starts. Sanitation is another part people overlook. Clean hands, clean tools, clean skin. These aren't optional steps. Any bacteria introduced during an extraction doesn't just sit on the surface. It goes into the freshly opened pore where it can trigger a full-blown breakout. Even something as simple as wiping the area with a gentle toner afterward helps calm the pore and prevent bacteria from settling inside. A small layer of a soothing, non-comedogenic moisturizer afterwards seals everything in and keeps the skin from overreacting. What's interesting is that when extractions are done safely and sparingly, the pore walls stay healthier. They're not repeatedly stretched, torn, or forced open. The pore rebounds better, stays tighter, and doesn't refill as quickly. That's why controlled extraction works beautifully as part of a larger routine rather than as the main event. When the skin is cleansed consistently and treated with targeted ingredients, extractions become maintenance, not crisis control. You're removing what's ready to come out, not forcing what isn't. This step has to flow naturally with everything you're doing before and after it. When the skin is clean, balanced, softened, and treated regularly, extraction becomes easier, safer, and far less needed over time. The long-term win isn't the satisfaction of removing a blackhead. It's reducing how often blackheads form in the first place. Real skin progress comes from respecting the process, not rushing the result. Once you've built a solid cleansing routine and introduced the right targeted ingredients, your skin is finally in a place where it can start to heal. And this is where hydration and barrier support become essential. A lot of people with acne-prone or oily skin still believe that moisturizing will make everything worse. They think adding moisture will clog their pores, increase shine, or make the skin feel greasy. But the truth is the complete opposite. When your skin is properly hydrated and your barrier is strong, everything about your complexion becomes more stable, your oil production evens out, inflammation goes down, breakouts heal faster, and the pores become less reactive to anything you put on them. Hydration isn't the enemy. Lack of hydration is. Most acne-prone skin is actually dehydrated, not dry. That's an important distinction. When the skin lacks water, not oil, it overcompensates by producing more oil, and that excess oil gets trapped under dead skin cells and forms clogs. That's why someone can have an oily forehead but still feel tightness after cleansing. The skin is trying to fix a water problem with an oil response. When you bring hydration back into the routine, using ingredients like hyaluronic acid, panthenol, glycerin, you're restoring that water balance so the skin doesn't feel the need to overproduce oil anymore. And once that cycle calms down, breakouts stop forming as aggressively. The barrier is the skin's protective shield. It's made up of lipids that keep moisture in and irritants out. When this barrier is damaged, usually from harsh cleansers, over-exfoliation, aggressive scrubbing, or picking, it becomes leaky. Irritants enter more easily, water evaporates faster, and the skin becomes reactive to even the gentlest products. That's when you start seeing redness, sensitivity, stinging, flaking, and the kind of inflammation that makes acne worse. Strengthening the barrier isn't just about moisture, it's about resilience. Ceramides, cholesterol, and fatty acids. These are the ingredients that rebuild that shield and help your skin recover from all the stress it goes through each day. Lightweight moisturizers are especially important for acne-prone skin. You don't need thick, heavy creams to achieve hydration. Gel cream formulas or oil-free hydrators that contain barrier-supporting ingredients can give the skin everything it needs without clogging pores. The idea is to nourish the skin, not suffocate it. When the moisturizer sinks in easily and leaves the skin feeling comfortable rather than coated, you know you're giving it the kind of hydration it can actually use. A common misconception is that treatments alone will clear acne, but treatments without hydration can work against you. When your skin is too dry or irritated, it becomes inflamed, and inflammation is one of the biggest triggers for breakouts. A dehydrated pore is more likely to trap oil, an irritated pore is more likely to become infected, and a stressed barrier is more likely to react to active ingredients by producing more redness, more peeling, and less improvement. Hydration buffers the skin so your ingredients can work at their full potential. It's like giving your skin a support system so it doesn't collapse under the pressure of all the treatment steps. When your skin feels hydrated, everything changes. It looks smoother, feels softer, and behaves more predictably. You start noticing fewer rough patches and a more balanced texture. The foundation you apply goes on more evenly. Your pores look smaller because they're no longer irritated or stretched from constant dryness and excess oil production. Even your blackheads appear less pronounced because the surrounding skin isn't inflamed or uneven. This is the part of the routine that people often underestimate, but once they experience that shift, they realize how much calmer and clearer their complexion becomes. And rebuilding the barrier isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing relationship with your skin. Every day, pollution, weather, stress, and even your own routine challenge the barrier. Hydration and moisturization help counteract that damage. They don't just repair, they protect. When your skin is consistently supported, it becomes more tolerant of stronger treatments like salicylic acid or retinoids. You're less likely to experience the dryness or peeling that makes people quit before they see results. A strong barrier helps you stay consistent. And consistency is what clears skin over time. As your skin gets used to this balance, clean but not stripped, treated but not irritated, hydrated but not greasy, you start to see that long-term clarity isn't about fighting your skin. It's about partnering with it. And when your barrier is strong, that partnership finally feels easy. Healthy skin isn't just clear, it's balanced, supported, and resilient. Once your daily routine is working, your cleansing is consistent, your targeted ingredients are doing their job, and your barrier is supported, this is when weekly treatments step in to elevate everything to the next level. Think of these treatments as the deeper maintenance work that keeps your pores clear long-term, especially if you struggle with stubborn blackheads or congestion that seems to come back no matter how carefully you take care of your skin. These weekly steps don't replace your routine, they reinforce it, giving your skin that extra boost it needs to stay ahead of buildup before it becomes a problem. Clay masks are one of the simplest and most effective weekly tools. They act like a magnet for impurities, pulling excess oil and trapped debris out of the pores without the need for squeezing or harsh scrubbing. But the key is choosing the right type of clay and using it in moderation. A lot of people use clay masks too frequently or leave them on too long, and that ends up drying out the skin. When the skin gets too dry, oil production spikes again, and the cycle of clogging begins all over. A thin layer once or twice a week is more than enough. You're not trying to dehydrate the skin, you're trying to give it a deep breath. The moment you see the mask start to dry around the edges but still look slightly damp in the center, that's the sweet spot. That's when it's done its job without stressing your barrier. Enzyme exfoliation is another gentle but powerful option. Unlike harsh scrubs or strong acids, enzymes come from natural sources like fruit extracts and work by dissolving only the dead skin cells sitting on the surface. They don't scrape, they don't burn, and they don't trigger that sharp sting that makes your skin panic. Instead, they help the skin shed the way it's meant to. This keeps the surface smooth and even so oil doesn't get trapped underneath. For someone with sensitive skin, enzyme exfoliation can be the perfect weekly alternative to stronger exfoliants that might be too much for daily use. Weekly treatments also give you time to check in with your skin. Some weeks you might notice more congestion around the nose or chin, especially if it's been hot or humid or if you've been wearing heavy makeup. Other weeks your skin might be calmer and only need a light exfoliation. Paying attention to these shifts helps you adjust your routine so you don't overtreat or undertreat. Your skin is constantly sending signals: tightness, dullness, extra shine, texture changes, and weekly treatments help you respond in a way that keeps your skin on track. For those dealing with deeper or more persistent blackheads, weekly treatments can include tools like microfiber cleansing pads or soft silicone brushes used gently to help loosen buildup. These aren't meant to scrub the skin. They're meant to encourage circulation and lift away debris without harming the barrier. It's about giving your pores a little more support without stepping into aggressive territory. When used correctly, these kinds of tools can make your extractions easier and less frequent because the pores aren't holding on to buildup as tightly. Professional level treatments also play a role here, even if you're only doing them occasionally. Things like mild chemical peels, hydrofacials, or LED therapy can amplify the results of your at-home routine. They're not mandatory, but they're incredibly useful when you want to accelerate progress or manage stubborn areas that need a little more precision. Even doing something like a professional deep cleaning session every few months can help reset your skin and give you a clean slate to maintain at home. It's not about replacing what you do daily, it's about complementing it. What's important is that weekly treatments are always supportive, not punitive. They shouldn't burn, sting, or leave your skin red for hours. They shouldn't feel like punishment for having acne or blackheads. They should feel like self-care, like giving your skin a chance to reset, refresh, and breathe. When you approach these treatments with that mindset, you stop trying to force your skin into submission and start partnering with it in a way that keeps progress moving forward. The beauty of weekly treatments is that they prevent the slow buildup that daily routines sometimes miss. Even with the best cleansing and targeted ingredients, oil and debris can accumulate over time, especially in areas where the pores are naturally larger. Weekly treatments ensure that this buildup never gets the chance to harden into deep congestion. You're staying one step ahead instead of catching up after a breakout forms. When these weekly habits become part of your rhythm, your skin doesn't just look clearer, it stays clearer. And the long-term payoff of that consistency is a complexion that feels lighter, smoother, and far easier to manage. Deep maintenance done consistently is what turns temporary improvements into lasting clarity. When you've built a routine that cleanses gently, treats the pores with targeted ingredients, supports the barrier, and incorporates weekly maintenance, the final piece of the puzzle is making sure your results last. Clear skin isn't something that comes from one product or one good week of skincare. It's something that grows out of habits, small, steady choices you make every day that either support your progress or slowly chip away at it. And the truth is, long-term clarity depends just as much on what you do outside the bathroom as what you do in front of the mirror. Your skin responds to your entire lifestyle, not just your products. And when all of these pieces work together, the difference can be dramatic. One of the biggest factors in maintaining clear skin is consistency. You can use all the right products, but if you're skipping steps, rushing through your routine, or only treating your skin when you see a breakout forming, you're always going to be chasing problems instead of preventing them. The skin thrives on rhythm. It likes knowing what's coming. When you cleanse every morning and evening, when you apply your treatments on a predictable schedule, when you moisturize even on the days you think you don't need to, your skin becomes more balanced, more resilient, and far less reactive. Breakouts become less frequent, not because you're fighting them harder, but because your skin is supported enough that they don't get the opportunity to form in the first place. Lifestyle plays a surprisingly big role too. Sleep, for example, isn't just about feeling rested. Your skin does most of its repair work at night, and when you cut that time short, you're interrupting the healing cycle. Inflammation rises, oil production shifts, and the barrier becomes weaker. You might notice that after several nights of poor sleep, your face looks puffier, duller, or more congested. That's not coincidence, that's biology. Giving your body the rest it needs isn't just good for your energy, it directly affects the way your skin handles stress, heals after breakouts, and responds to your routine. Stress itself is another factor that sneaks into your skin without you realizing it. When your stress levels rise, your body triggers hormonal changes that increase oil production and inflammation. You might not feel stressed in the moment, but your skin certainly does. This is why breakouts often happen around exams, travel, deadlines, or big life changes. Managing stress doesn't mean eliminating it, it means creating small moments of calm throughout your day. Breathing, stretching, taking breaks, letting your mind reset. Those simple habits help keep your internal chemistry steady, which helps keep your pores calmer too. Diet isn't about strict rules or eliminating all your favorite foods, but certain patterns can make a noticeable difference, especially when you're prone to breakouts. High sugar foods, dairy, and heavily processed snacks can sometimes cause hormonal fluctuations that trigger oil production. You don't need to remove them entirely, but paying attention to how your skin reacts after certain meals can help you make choices that support your goals instead of working against them. Hydration matters as well. When your body is dehydrated, your skin becomes more vulnerable to irritation and buildup. Drinking enough water throughout the day isn't a magic cure, but it absolutely helps your skin maintain balance. Another part of maintaining results is respecting your skin during the moments it's most vulnerable. After a workout, don't let sweat sit on your face for hours. Sweat itself isn't harmful, it's the bacteria mixed with sweat, sunscreen, and makeup that causes problems. A quick rinse or gentle cleanse after exercise makes a huge difference. The same goes for touching your face. Most people don't realize how often their hands drift toward their cheeks or chin throughout the day. Every touch transfers dirt and oils that can clog pores and trigger breakouts. Becoming aware of that habit and interrupting it can dramatically reduce new congestion even. Your environment influences your skin. Dry indoor air pulls moisture out of the skin and weakens the barrier, which makes it easier for pores to clog. Pollution from busy streets can settle onto the skin and worsen inflammation. Using a humidifier at night or cleansing thoroughly after being outdoors helps protect your skin from these silent stressors. Your daily routine prepares your skin, your environment challenges it. What you do consistently determines which of those forces wins. And then there's aftercare, how you treat your skin after breakouts, after extractions, after irritation, after a long day. This is where a lot of people sabotage their progress without realizing it. Picking at healing spots, skipping moisturizer because the skin feels oily, switching to new products out of impatience. These habits undo the hard work you've already put in. Long-term clarity comes from patience and trust. Trusting the process, trusting your routine, trusting your skin to respond when you give it the stability it needs. When all these elements work together, your routine, your lifestyle, your consistency, your choices, your skin reflects that balance. It stays clearer, calmer, and far more predictable. And instead of fighting your skin every day, you finally feel like you're working with it. Clear skin doesn't happen in a moment. It happens in the moments you keep showing up for it.